I don't have anything to prove. I don't have anything to lose. And everything here is just to gain.
In December of last year, a rumor started leaking out of a database nobody was supposed to be looking at. Serena Williams had quietly re-entered professional tennis's drug testing pool. Within hours, she shut it down herself. Posted online, in her own words, that she was not coming back. Called the whole thing a wildfire. Case closed. 6 months later, she's walking onto center court at Wimbledon for a real singles match. So which version of Serena do you believe? The one who said no, emphatically, in her own words? Or the one who showed up anyway? And here's the question that actually matters more than either answer. Is this the same fierce, uncompromising competitor who spent 2 decades making officials, opponents, and sometimes entire stadiums genuinely uncomfortable, coming back because something in her still needs to win? Or is this a business decision wearing an emotional story as a costume? I'm not going to tell you which one is true. I'm going to show you both sides and let you decide for yourself. To understand this, you have to understand the reputation first. Because long before anyone whispered the word comeback, Serena already carried a label that never fully went away: difficult, combative, impossible to predict. It's not an unfair label exactly, it's an incomplete one. This is a woman who has, at various points in her career, gone toe-to-toe with chair umpires.
You owe me an apology. I have never cheated in my life. I have a daughter and I stand what's right for her, and I've never cheated. And you owe me an apology.
Smashed rackets in full view of a stadium, and said things in the heat of competition that her own team later had to walk back publicly. That history is real. It happened on camera more than once. But here's what almost never gets said in the same breath. Every single one of those moments happened because she refused to let a call, a rule, or a room full of strangers decide how hard she was allowed to fight. Whether you call that difficult or call it uncompromising kind of, depends on whether you were rooting for her that day. So when a woman with that exact reputation says out loud that she's done and then isn't, people don't just wonder if she changed her mind. They wonder what she's actually up to. Follow the timeline closely, because the order of events is where the suspicion starts. She denies the comeback in December, flatly, publicly. Then in the following months, she starts training. Quietly at first, nothing announced, nothing confirmed. Then doubles at Queen's Club. Then Berlin. Then Wimbledon holds one wildcard spot open and simply refuses to fill it, week after week, as though they already know who's coming. To a skeptic, that sequence looks less like a woman rediscovering her love of the sport and more like a slow-rolled announcement, timed for maximum attention. And attention, of course, is worth something. Serena hasn't just been an athlete for years now. She's a brand, an investor, the face of ventures that live and die on exactly this kind of moment. A 44-year-old icon walking back onto the most famous court in tennis isn't just a sports story, it's a marketing department's dream headline, whether anyone planned it that way or not. So the theory goes something like this. Maybe the tennis was never really the point. Maybe the point was the story, a legend, reluctantly coaxed out of retirement, generating exactly the kind of coverage no paid campaign could ever buy. It's a clean theory. It fits the facts. And it's very hard to actually prove. But here's where the theory starts to wobble. Because if this were purely a calculated business play, the messiest possible way to execute it would be exactly how it actually happened. Publicly denying it first only to reverse course isn't a marketing strategy. It's a liability. It hands critics the exact headline they're using right now. Nobody running a clean campaign chooses to look indecisive on purpose. And then there's the part of the story that has nothing to do with cameras at all. By her own account, this didn't start with an agent or a sponsor. It started with her daughter, watching her mother train, asking to see her play one more time. You can be as cynical as you want about celebrity storytelling, but it's worth noticing that the version of this story that actually gets repeated most, mother, daughter, one more match, isn't the version that sells anything. It's the version that costs her something if it goes wrong. And it did go wrong on the scoreboard in 3 sets, in front of a stadium that came specifically to watch her lose, gracefully or not at all. And watch what she actually did with that loss. No press conference. She simply canceled it and sent a short written statement instead. A few plain lines about being grateful to be back, about missing the atmosphere, nothing quotable, nothing built to travel. If a team was managing this for maximum reach, walking away from the microphones the moment the story got harder to control is a strange way to do it. There's also this, and this is the part that makes the skeptics sit up. Days later, she was supposed to be back on court, doubles with her sister Venus, the two of them chasing a title they'd won together 6 times. And then, moments before the final practice, it was gone. A knee injury, a withdrawal. Perfect timing if you're the suspicious type. She got the singles headline, the tears, the ovation, and then slipped out before a second. Messier tournament could hand her a second loss and dent the fairy tale. It's the kind of exit a PR team dreams about, except a PR team doesn't usually hand you the evidence against its own story. And she did, posting the syringes of fluid pulled from her own knee, the strapping, the cane. That's not the move of someone hiding behind an injury. That's someone daring you to call it fake. If this were only ever about a headline, the safest move would have been an exhibition from the start. Cameras, applause, no risk, no ranking, an opponent more than 2 decades her junior who grew up idolizing the player across the net. She chose the version where the result actually counted and the result actually hurt. So now you're left holding 2 true things that don't fully agree with each other. She has spent her career being genuinely, unmistakably difficult when the moment called for it, the kind of competitor who makes officials nervous and opponents uneasy, because she never once treated the rules as more important than the fight. And she has also spent her post-tennis years building something that benefits, directly and repeatedly, from exactly this kind of spotlight. Both of those things can be true about the same person without either one being the whole explanation. That's the part most takes on this story skip entirely. They pick one, Serena, the fighter, or the businesswoman, and pretend the other one doesn't exist. But maybe that's the actual truth hiding underneath both theories. The most successful people rarely separate cleanly into one motive or the other. The fire that made her impossible to officiate on court is the same fire that makes her impossible to ignore off it. You don't get to keep one without the other. The competitiveness that built a business empire is the same competitiveness that once told an umpire exactly what she thought of a call. Calling it a stunt assumes those 2 things are in conflict. They're not. They're the same instinct, aimed in 2 different directions. So was this whole comeback real? Or was it business dressed up as sentiment? Honestly, I don't think you have to pick. I think the truth is that Serena Williams has never known how to want something halfway. Not a match point, not a legacy, and apparently not a headline either. But I'll leave that for you to argue about. Do you think this was genuine? Or do you think we all just got played? Tell me honestly in the comments. I have a feeling this one's going to get heated. If this made you rethink the whole story, a like really helps it reach more people. Subscribe for more deep dives like this one, and I'll see you in the next video.